Hello and welcome. Today I have Jamie Myerscough from Educogym joining us on the Business Growth Mindset podcast. Jamie's an entrepreneur and a CEO of Educogym. He has a business degree from Trinity College Dublin and is also a qualified holistic nutritionist with the Irish Health Culture Association. His first venture began at college, co-founding Forest Software, a CRM software developed for the hair and beauty industry. Forest is now a world-leading supplier of salon software with over 10,000 customers worldwide. In 2007, after training at Educogym, he began his personal training journey with Educogym, and in 2008, opened his first franchise. In 2011, he was appointed the CEO of the franchise and oversaw its growth. Jamie now has 4 franchises and is expanding into Canada and Australia. Educogym is a method and a model that generates results in just 20 minutes of focused training. Their purpose is transformation. Jamie has trained the likes of singer Robbie Williams and former Ryder Cup captain and Open champion Darren Clarke. Jamie has a passion for all things health and fitness, but above all, transforming people's lives. Welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Mindset Podcast, Series 3. I'm your host, Kristian Livolsi, and I'm incredibly excited, and I mean this, incredibly excited to welcome our guest and my friend, Jamie Myerscough, on the show today. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you, Kristian.
And you may have gathered from that, thank you, Kristian. Jamie is not Australian. He's dialing in all the way from Ireland. It's quite early in the morning for you in Ireland, isn't it, Jamie?
It's not too bad. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, but
right.
3 small children.
I've
been up. Yeah, exactly. No, that is true. It's pretty cold this morning, about 6 degrees.
Right. Amazing. So Jamie would have been up early because he has 3 boys under the age of 5 running around. And what time did the boys get up? Who got up the earliest this morning?
Sebastian.
Right.
At about just before 6. Just before 6.
Oh, okay. So he's not waking up at 5 when we used to be on calls going, Dad. No, your blue light's not on. Your red light's still on. We used to have some great conversations early in the morning, Jamie and I. And what we're going to do is we're going to get Jamie today to share a little bit about himself and Educogym, a revolutionary training system, program, nutrition, mindset phenomena. I was recently in Ireland hanging out with Jamie for 3 weeks, and we might talk about those results later, but that's Blackrock behind you, right?
That is, yeah.
So that's one of the locations. But Jamie, rather than me tell the story, and because obviously I've got you here, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Okay, you've done some pretty exciting stuff even before Educogym. You're one of those tech heads that founded companies in a dormitory. But I might be making it sound a little bit fancier than it really is. But anyway, it's definitely no Facebook, but I think you've done pretty well for yourself. Let's tell me a little bit about you. But what I think the listeners would love to hear is where you have come from and where you are today. So take us through that journey.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in the south of Ireland in a county called Tipperary. Some people may know it as Long Way to Tipperary. And I grew up on a stud farm, so surrounded by animals, but mainly horses. So my family's all involved in horse racing and horses. So it was a pretty cool upbringing to be on a farm and to be in that industry. And my grandfather was a very famous racehorse trainer. So we grew up surrounded by, I suppose, that level of success, which I think probably rubs off on you. Certainly watching somebody being able to perform at that high level, I was always very interested in peak performance and, how you could be your best. I was always very competitive, played a lot of sport, and I was fascinated, even at a very young age, by the role that nutrition played. Dad always said, "You are what you eat." So depending on what my mood was like, he tried to figure out what I'd had. So I think we know having young children and watching young children, how much nutrition definitely affects mood and energy. And as an adult, the same obviously applies. I was also very interested in exercise and the role that exercise played. If I went for a run in the morning, how well I would feel. It would almost feel like I got my system started. So I was very interested in that. Throughout school, college, played a lot of sport, like I said. And then probably the main sport that I really started to have a passion for was golf. Really through maybe the last year or so of school and then into college. So played on the college golf team. And I think I had in my mind that I would give it a shot as a golf professional, but quickly realized that what that was going to take, and whether you think that you have the ability or not, you still would think that if you put a lot of time and effort into it. But it was then I came across the Educo system, and that was in my final year of college. And the Educo system itself is actually a system that teaches you how to be more. It's like an educational system that teaches you how to be more successful by using more of your mind. And I went on an Educo seminar, and that really was life-changing for me. And when I came back from that seminar, I put golf almost to the side, and I started a company. I started a business. Like you said, it's in technology, and it was a brilliant experience. We were one of the first companies to do sort of bulk text messaging, or SMS, where we were asked by Smirnoff, the vodka maker, if we would be able to send out text messages to students to promote Smirnoff Ice at the time. And we said, yeah, of course we can. So then we had to figure out how to do it. And we bought text messages, which sounds weird, from a company in Sweden, a telecom in Sweden. And we sent out lots of text messages using a platform that we had developed. And that platform then turned into an appointment book with SMS reminders. And we were doing bulk SMS for clubs and companies and all sorts of things. And then that developed into a salon software, so a CRM system for the hair and beauty industry. And it's gone on to be very successful. So I guess I kind of had a background in sport, and then I went into business. And then in about 2007, my business partner and I decided, we were joint CEO, and we were getting to a size of a company that it's probably not a good. We decided it's like having two parents. A lot of things can fall between the two of you. So one of us needed to take a leadership role, and we both decided he was going to be CEO, and then I was going to stay on the board, but I was going to start Educogym. And because Educogym had become a franchise at that point, and using the system that I was very familiar with training and nutrition. And so that was 2007, 2008. And that's where I find myself today, running and in charge of Educogym. And I have a number of franchises myself. And, since working with you, obviously we've looked at how we can really grow the business. And I'm really excited about bringing the concept to Australia and growing it in other markets, including obviously here in Ireland.
Yeah.
So it's a very sort of condensed journey.
No, it's a great journey. He left out a ton of stuff, which I'm kind of happy, because I heard it all before, but I think our audience are also going to realize really quickly. Jamie's really easy to listen to. He's a genuine storyteller, and but genuine in the sense that you have to ask him the right questions to get the right answers. So I love the care and the thinking that goes behind the way you tell the story, and you're very humble, Jamie. You are very humble, and so is your whole family. I have the privilege of having met everyone, and they are really good people, and I think that speaks volumes for the way you also run Educogym. The whole Educogym franchise is run with a genuine authenticity and care for its people. I've seen it. Yes, I'm chief advisor, obviously, for full disclosure, of Educogym. And yes, I have decided to partner with Jamie. Breaking news. I've decided to partner with Jamie to bring Educogym to Australia, and couple of other continents. And that's because of the outstanding results that Educogym achieves, unlike any other system. Now, we're not really here to talk about Educogym, and we're certainly not here to tell everybody about our partnership. That was going to be a bigger press release. But I think what's really important is probably sharing with everybody that your biggest challenge, right, that you faced in Educogym, particularly, I think rather than the past, let's talk about Educogym and how you've tackled it, right? So a lot of our listeners love to know about people's failure and success, and I love asking this question, So what's the biggest challenge that you faced in your role at Educogym, and how have you tackled it?
Probably, in my mind anyway, the biggest challenge that I would face is it's really, I think when you get to a certain company size and you want to grow, it really then becomes very obvious it's about your people and how you grow and develop and empower your people to allow them to do their jobs properly, and then to allow you to grow the business. You can't, as an entrepreneur, you start something small and you start it with a maybe small group of people, and everybody does a lot of jobs and has a lot of have a lot of hats. They do a lot of roles, and they have to be reasonably good at doing lots of different things. And then I think as you grow, people need to take ownership of particular roles. You need to be able to define those roles, and then you need to be able to hold people accountable to their KPIs and making sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing. And it should be, I think, the best business is the one that has a job that's autotelic, and autotelic basically means is that the job and the performance tells the person how well they're doing and how good they are. So it's like as a manager or as a leader, your job really is to hold up a mirror to your team, and they have to be able to see a reflection of how they're performing. That then tells them. So a lot of jobs in a lot of companies, it's not very well defined, and people don't know whether they're doing a good job or a bad job. And often teams are rewarded based on a team performance, and A players carry Z players. Whereas you want to have an organization, I think that people, the A players are rewarded, and therefore you attract more A players. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, and something that obviously you've really helped us with is to define exactly what it is that we're doing, get people excited about the vision and the purpose, and make sure that everyone understands what the values are for the business, so that you're attracting the people with similar values that are a good fit for your business. And then you're very much setting out clear expectations and then measuring them according to those expectations. And that's the challenge. It sounds easy on paper, but that's what you continually have to do, and continually remind people of why they're there.
I think that you the key thing is implementation. It's all well and good. Yes, and thank you. It's very kind of you to acknowledge me for the work that we did, but at the end of the day, you guys did all the work. I just was able to extract the bare foundational, deep entrenched values of the organization, which is also what drove me to build our friendship, but also then form this partnership to open up in other continents. But it's really the implementation. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because you've changed the way you approach managing the whole Educogym franchise, because you also sit over the top of the whole franchise for Dr. Tony Quinn and for Sarah. So you galvanizing the franchise together has been a big one, and the values and the core, what we call the core, right, Jamie? So core purpose, core values, core competencies. But how are you, for all of our business people and non-business people that work in companies, how are you bringing not only your team in your sites, in your locations, and there's 20 people there, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of members too. How are you galvanizing everybody, including all the franchisees as well? Because we are talking about a lot of people here. It's not this is not just like one gym. It is 10 in different countries, 10 or 11.
We are 11.
11. It is 11. I don't know why I keep going to 10. 10 just sounds like such a good round number.
It's round,
but it's 11.
Round number. Yeah.
And we plan to open, starting with 1, but going to 20 in a very short period of time in Australia. But can you tell me, how have you galvanized everyone? How have you brought everyone together? Just quickly, I know this, you could talk about this for ages. So just quickly.
Yeah, I mean, just for anybody watching or listening to this, obviously in a franchise, it's slightly different. So if you have your own business, you have your direct reports, they have their direct reports, and the structure is very clear. With a franchise, you often have people who come in and they have all types of different business experience. And some may have very little business experience starting out. And they all, because they're owning and operating an independent business, you don't necessarily have the control that you would have in a regular company. So the challenge is then, how do you bring everybody together? And I think, obviously what we've worked on together is really defining the purpose, what exactly we're about. So, we're about transformation, and then defining the vision of how we want to grow, and then making sure that people understand what the values are, how we want to operate on a day-to-day business, what's really important for us as a team to communicate to each other and also to communicate to our clients. And then understanding, what are our core competencies? What are we really good at? And then really emphasizing that, and making sure that you're very clear also what your brand promise is. So when people come into contact with your business, or they see any type of communication from you, that they immediately get a sense of what it is that you are going to do for them as a company. So it's making that and constantly communicating that, making it exciting so that people buy into it. And it forms almost like the rules of the game, where you're making sure that people are following those values, the purpose, the vision, the core competencies, and everything is standardized so that people know, like I said, what the rules of the game are. And you're enforcing those as opposed to directly trying to control somebody else's business, which obviously that's not going to work. They got into business to have their own business, not to be an employee necessarily.
Cool. So let me ask you this question then. What is the number one core competency? What is it that you guys are really bloody good at that, no one else can replicate easily?
Yeah. So we have the Educo model, that success system, that educational system. And at the core of that is what we call unconscious attention. And that's at the deepest level of attention. You can think of it like pure attention. Some people talk about being in the zone or being in the flow. That's at a particular level of attention. And there's obviously all sorts of levels to that attention, depending on how a person performs. And we have a structure that helps a person to get into that state of flow. So that's very unique to what we do. And then it also applies to goal setting. So exactly how you goal set, how you apply your attention to your goal, so that essentially we're actually using the power of the unconscious mind, which is obviously something you could talk about for about a week. And but it gets a person to essentially really buy into their vision or their goal, and then therefore the results are much more likely to happen, or you certainly get far superior results, as the research actually has shown.
Amazing. Yeah, no, and obviously I've had the privilege of training with you. So has Robbie Williams, and so has Darren Clark. Let's not, let's look at how great Robbie Williams looked when he sang at the AFL Grand Final. Correct me if I'm wrong. Robbie Williams is the only person in the world that actually has an Educogym machine in his house.
Yeah, he has a machine in his garage in his house in Los Angeles.
Yeah, amazing. And you trained him personally for a while, didn't you? Teaching him the exact same system, the unconscious attention, and then obviously working out. I think there is also a couple of videos online with Robbie and Thurston, another one of the trainers in the US. when that machine was installed, right? And that's actually in the garage. It is raw. We have to maybe try and find the link and share it with everyone in the show notes. I think that one of the things that I admired about training with you, and obviously myself being a former professional athlete as well, one thing that stood out to me was this exact ability to train, to get people to this unconscious state when you train. What was it? I bench pressed 408. Was it 480 pounds on my third or fourth training day?
Yeah, so it's 400. It was 460 pounds actually is the weight. So it's so it's over this shoulder here. You can see that station over there where it's set up like an incline bench press. But so you can make that flat, and it's 460 pounds. So it's a unique machine. This is a time machine. It's another one of our core competencies. We designed this to allow a person to train in this deep state of attention. So, if you go into a normal gym, a warehouse type gym, you're wandering all over the place trying to find your next piece of equipment. And a lot of the intensity is lost when you do that. But also your attention tends to wander and you get distracted. You're always with a trainer with us. So somebody is putting you through your paces. The way you put it, where you're in an unconscious state, sounds like we trained you so hard that you passed out, but it wasn't like that. It's where
I don't know. I was breathing pretty hard.
But if you can imagine, all of your attention is tied up in what you're doing, because it's very hard to think of something else when you're trying to lift a very heavy weight. And that really is the key to it. So a lot of people talk about meditation or mindfulness or any of these type of things. But they often, the subject matter that they're using isn't very exciting or interesting. So it's much harder to hold your attention. In yoga, focusing on the candle flame, there's not so many people are very excited about a candle flame. So it's often easier to really focus on something that you're interested in, or stick you under a very heavy weight where you have to really pay attention to lift it. Is a great way to focus all of your mind on what you're doing. And that you get that mind, your mind then becomes sort of still or quiet, the quietened mind. And that's, you have a session of 15, 20 minutes where your mind is in that state. And then it's much more creative after it. You'll get much more insights and awarenesses. And that is absolutely true. That actually does happen.
You just hinted probably the number one reason why anybody should train at an Educogym, and it's the one major reason that I am so excited to bring this system to Australia, and that is 20 minutes. You want to just explain what I mean by 20 minutes, please?
Absolutely. So every session in an Educogym is 20 minutes or less. So often people exercise for maybe 12, 15 minutes, and then they do some maybe ab work, that type of thing. But the sessions are less than 20 minutes. And the reason that they're so short is because there's absolutely no time wasted. So somebody took the time to measure the effectiveness or efficiency of a person in a regular gym. And what they found is in a 20-minute session in a normal gym, 10 minutes is spent traveling between machines or waiting for people to get off machines. So 10 out of every 20 minutes is wasted. So people often spend hours in the gym, but the actual amount of time that they spend training is very little. So, you go to a machine, somebody's on it, they're reading their magazine, they're on their phone more likely nowadays. But they're certainly not training.
You just showed your age.
Yeah. So I know. And I just look so much younger. That's the effect of training in a Educogym. Anyway, hang
on. Wait a second. Hang on. He wasn't actually kidding. Educogym's founder founded it for exactly that, cell rejuvenation. And I guess that's another conversation altogether. But I just wanted to Jamie wasn't actually kidding when he said that. The demographic in Ireland of people that train at a Educogym is on the older side, and they look fantastic. Like your mum and dad, for example, They don't look anywhere near that age. And maybe that's genes as well, but everyone that trains at Educogym is stronger, healthier, and most of the bloody locations are upstairs. So after you've done a leg session, getting down those stairs is so difficult.
It requires lots of attention.
You can see that all the blood's just gone to my head as I've just had this memory. But
yeah, it's worth pointing. Like my dad is 74, mum is 64. They've just recently completed a mammoth. Well, I suppose you could say an athletic event, but they did a cycle from Paris to Nice, which is about 800 kilometers, and they did that in 5 days. So they're incredibly fit. My mum's waist at 64 is like 29 inches. I mean, she's in incredible shape. And they're both very, very strong. It's about that vibrancy and that life force. It's, everybody has energy. That's the one thing we all have in common because we're all alive. And really what we're aiming to do is to maximize that level of energy, because the more energy you have, the more life. Anybody who's in a job and they don't really enjoy it and they're, it's a bit of a slog, and they've got young kids and they find themselves, they're not really eating very well, they're not getting much exercise, and their level of energy diminishes rapidly over time. And suddenly they find themselves in a situation where they're just genuinely unhappy. So we're focusing on increasing your life energy, first of all, by getting your energy out of your heavy thinking and thoughts, so that the mental aspect is enormous. But then from an exercise point of view, the critical thing to building energy is to build lean tissue, to build muscle, because muscle burns 90% of the calories you burn on a daily basis. The more muscle you have, the more energy you produce and the more energy you have. And then obviously if you get people to eat in the right way, not low calorie, just really, really good food, getting the right nutrition, which will taste delicious, then you have huge levels of energy. So it's about looking at all the different ways that you can increase energy. And that's, I think, what people value the most.
I think that's also really important. Educogym, although the word gym is in the name, is not actually a gym. It's, as you said earlier, it's personal training, smaller groups, essentially 3 people generally to a trainer or thereabouts, and also only 3 people to a machine at any given time, 20-minute workouts. But it's the complete package. You also provide every one of your members a nutritional plan. And I certainly know that I was on the Kickstart program, and, I'm pretty sure it was just under 6 kilos of body fat loss, but I gained. No, it was more. It was more than that. It was 7 kilos of body fat lost and 7.2 something, and then 6 kilos of muscle mass gained. And one of the things that we're going to do, you guys use the calipers and stuff in Ireland. What we're going to do in Australia is actually have a body scan machine in each location, because the one big thing that you guys are also about, if I can indulge, is results. You don't go to Educogym to look at yourself in the mirror and see how big your biceps have gone. And if you go in there, no one's looking in mirrors. Everyone's just there training.
You don't have time.
That's right. There is no time. You can't even talk. Apart from all you heard me doing was heavy breathing. And I'll tell you something, guys. This is the absolute unbelievable point. There's no cardio. Zero. There's not one treadmill in there, not one bike. So all of you listening, if you're not getting excited about this, I know some of my listeners are a bit like me. We're executives, time poor. We all have personal trainers. We are not getting results. But we think that, we have to go and train. And then the other people that I know all are in gyms and doing at least an hour of training. And most of the time that's having a coffee at Next Generation downstairs and getting the caffeine kick to go upstairs. But, the truth is, the truth is in what you just said. It's about life force energy. And, I had the privilege of working with your entire team and the franchisees. They're all really good people who really love what they do. And that's because people get results. Do you want to just share with us your current 28-day challenge results, because there was the winner, but it wasn't just the winner, it was all the other people had incredible results in 28 days. Jamie, do you want to just share the winner and then some other examples, even the person that did the worst? And this will fascinate our listeners.
Yeah, so the results varied from people losing about 12 pounds in 28 days all the way up to 19 pounds in 28 days. And that's just fat loss. And then really the key part about it is getting people to add back lean tissue, because that's really going to make the difference, even from point of view of your shape, but also your health. And so honestly, the results are incredible. It has to be about the results. I mean, it's that's so important when you're in business, is that you're producing, you're delivering on what you say you do, and the more value you can provide for that, the more loyalty that you have from your customers. And it was like, obviously you mentioned Darren Clark and Robbie Williams, but it was because of the results that Darren Clark got. I think he lost 50 pounds in 4 months. Like, it was a total transformation. And it was because of that Robbie Williams saw those results, similar kind of age, both in their 40s at the time. So then Robbie said, I wouldn't mind doing that type of system, training an hour a week and getting those kind of results. So that's exactly what we did with them, with them both, to be honest. But yeah, so it is about the results. The most recent challenge, what it always surprises me, it shouldn't, but what they say, the clients say as a result of doing a challenge. And this was an internal challenge for members. It was a members exclusive 28-day challenge. They're probably training with us all year, and it's sort of a 28-day period. We just get them to focus that little bit more and to really to move their results on. And the results were absolutely incredible.
I was just trying to find, because I've just seen the wall chart of in Nace, another location that Angela has put up, who's a superstar, total champion, has been with you for a long time too. She put up all the photos of all, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different people, and their results are unbelievable in that time. And so I was talking to someone, and they said to me, "Oh, but I don't want to build muscle." Right? No. This is not bodybuilding. This is lean muscle tissue. This is not about how big your biceps can get.
No,
right?
It's more body sculpt. It's body sculpting. I mean, if somebody wanted to really build their body, and I don't think of it in terms of those big, ugly, bumpy muscles where the guys are taking things that they shouldn't be. It's more, think about it as actually building up your body. So your body disintegrates as you get older, and you're losing muscle from the age of about 27 as a man, 25 as a lady. So you're in a catabolic state, which means you're losing muscle. So it's about building up your body. So it is bodybuilding, but not as most people would perceive it. It's in the real sense of actually building up that vitality, that strength that people are losing as they get older. I think body sculpting, I think, is probably better.
That's right. No, and I like that. And then look, again, I can testify to the fact that, Jamie had me on a insulin resistant diet, because I have medically diagnosed insulin resistance. And I had more energy than ever before. I couldn't even keep up with eating the amount of food that he kept putting in front of me. And also, I had more energy than I've ever had before. And so, to me, that was the sign sealed delivered.
It was such a visible difference. There was such a visible difference in you in only 3 weeks.
Especially when I was sipping my first champagne on the way back. Jamie wasn't there, so I was taking advantage.
We're all about celebrating your results.
Yeah, no, we were, but no, it was not for me. It was actually the shape of my upper torso in particular, and that doesn't, with any other training I've ever done, that's never happened that fast, like 2 weeks. And even I remember coming back and Lucy went, "Wow." Like, forget the fact that my suit, I was 3 inches smaller around the waist. Unfortunately, I have regained most of the weight that I lost only because of some cortisol steroids I had to take for losing my hearing, which was horrible. And now we're slowly weaning off that. So we are getting ready for the arrival of Educogym in Australia. But Jamie, I want to now dive back into the formalities of the podcast. So what should I ask you that I don't know enough to ask?
That is an interesting question.
I know that's hard because I actually know a lot about you already. So
yeah, I'm just trying to think, what do you do? What don't you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what should I ask you, right? That I don't even know enough to ask. That's about anything. Give us some insight into Jamie Myerscough. By the way, it reads Myerscough, but it's Myerscough.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
I love doing that too.
I think what people might benefit maybe from understanding is why a person gets out of shape in the first place. I know it's not necessarily a personal thing, but I think that's very much part of the science behind what we do or what we do.
So if I should ask you anything in this world, I should ask you, hey Jamie, tell me why people could fall out of shape. Come on, man. What are you doing to me? Not one of my listeners is going to be interested in asking you that question. Hey, Jamie.
Totally disagree.
Right? Hey, Jamie, please tell me.
I'd say a lot of people are wondering.
Maybe they're wondering, but that is not in the point of the question. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to, you know what? You failed that question. I'm moving on. Right.
You know too much.
I do actually. And then there's stuff here that we won't talk about on the podcast. But look, tell me about a customer that touched your heart and tell me about a customer that changed your business.
Well, honestly, there's a client at the moment, a guy called Christy, who's in Dundrum, and the results that he's achieved really encompass everything that we do, because he came to us with very low self-esteem. I think he has described it as very much being in a state of depression, so very, very low mentally, and also with a lot of weight to lose, so a number of different health issues. And I think he has lost, I want to say maybe about 45 kilos over the course of just...
I met when I came over? And so he's continued to lose more weight since then.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has won the last two member challenges for Dundrum. And so he continues to lose weight, and he's really just he's totally inspiring. He looks in incredible shape now. He's one of his goals was to buy some skinny jeans and to get into some tight fitting clothes. And honestly, it's absolutely phenomenal. So it's like nearly 100 pounds. So it's just under 50 kilos.
Not even a long time frame, Jamie. How long has it been?
No, over the course of about 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But his gut's so strong. I mean, he's physically very strong, because often you can lose that weight, but it doesn't necessarily look like it was healthy weight loss. You can kind of become gaunt around the face. You look soft. You don't look like it, but he actually looks like he's in just.
He's clearly stopped cheating, because last time I spoke to him, he's like, "Oh, I've had a few pints. I've been getting on it a bit." But he looked excellent when I saw him, and I reckon he dropped probably 25 kilo by then. So he's dropped another 15 kilo, right?
Probably
but that's just body weight.
5 months.
But what I'm saying is that's body weight. But he was actually building lean muscle at the same time. So, and I think this is what a lot of people don't understand. You could lose, like my net weight position, me personally, when I came back, was 1 kilo difference. But it was 3 inches off my waist.
Yeah. So every inch is just under 2 kilos of body fat. So if you lose an inch off your waist, it's 4 pounds or just under 2 kilos.
And I mean, he was really shrunk in.
Man. He was a very big man.
Yeah.
He must be about 6'5".
Yeah, he's taller than me. It was like taller than me and you. And it was like, wow. And that's amazing. That is incredible.
It's his mental outlook, I think, has been the most impressive result, is how that's changed, how he's literally just come out of himself, from being somebody who was, as we say in Ireland, quite far back in themselves, to suddenly really, really coming out and being so much brighter and having, he's got such a confidence in himself. It's really, really incredible.
And look, I think what makes Educogym so special here is that the purpose that we harnessed is transformations. Okay. And that's exactly what's happened to this client. But what is more impressive is the likelihood of him going back and adding this 45 kilos is very low because of all the lean muscle that he's built and the mindset training that's gone on, the Educo, right, to change those habits, right? And again, there's no crash diets. There's no, it's not like people have to abstain from having a lifestyle. It's quite the opposite. It is a lifestyle, right? And
correct.
And one that helps burn more calories, because unlike a starvation diet where you lose muscle tissue at the same rate that you lose body fat, if not
even
worse,
sometimes faster. Yeah.
And guess what's harder to put back on?
Yeah,
muscle.
Exactly. Muscle.
Right? Not fat. Fat's easy. I look at a bakery shop's front entrance, not even go in, and I put on 3 kilos. So all the ladies will completely understand what I mean. It's unfortunately it's a genetic thing for me. At least that's the excuse I tell myself. Jamie, I think that's really great. What's your biggest failure? So, and I guess more importantly, what did you learn from that? Yeah, careful, because you've had a few.
I don't. Honestly,
that was
never
being mean, right? No, seriously.
No. I never see a failure as a failure. I don't know. I'm sure I've obviously heard the quote somewhere, but you haven't failed until you've given up. I think that is our friend who created the light bulbs, Edison.
Edison, yeah.
But I think, honestly, I would see that we've definitely had challenges, but they're probably the biggest learning experiences that you have. So when I was with Forrest, I was very much, although we were a joint CEO with my partner and I was very much the sales director, and he was very much in the office, but really stringing everybody together, empowering the team. He developed a lot of those kind of soft skills, whereas I was very much out developing my sales skills. So when I started Educogym, that was probably, I was very familiar with the selling part, not so much with the building the team part. And that has been the biggest challenge that I've had. And it's probably part of my character. I like to be able to do a lot of things, and I can do them to a decent enough level. Probably now realizing that you can find people who can do elements of what I do at a much better level, and it's trusting people to do that. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge. When you're maybe doing a couple of million in turnover, going to 10 million is really about the team and the people. And that's what we're really making a big effort to invest in now, is so that we can really supercharge our growth. It's really developing and growing people. I think that's definitely one of the biggest challenges.
You're a bit harsh on yourself. But yes, great story. But I want to defend you a little bit. I think you're a bit harsh on yourself. Your team absolutely love you, right? So, and I think, but where you really summed it up, there's a big difference going from 1 million to 2, and then there's a greater difference going from 2 to 10. And I think the biggest challenge that most business owners face is having the ability to let go and trust. So you said trust, but it's also letting go, knowing that you can reach out and go to people who have been there before, right? In your case, you came to me. We worked through it. We understood it. then you even went to the extent of saying, hang on, bugger you, fly to Ireland, come and actually spend 3 weeks here. And I'm glad that I did that. I haven't, that was post-COVID. It was, it was still wearing masks and needing vaccination certificates for everything. But I've got to say, you are a really good example of a really good boss, right? Who never knew that they could lead and not just manage. Does that make sense? And I think you are now leading, right? You've got Angela, who's taking control, and we've gone, okay, Angela, you're really good at this stuff. Like, you're great at inspiring your team. She's organized, she's structured. I mean, she's Scottish, right? So, it's like another bloody accent. I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You want to get an education in understanding people, then you need to go to Ireland, where and then just hang out at a Educogym. There is every culture represented. It's like an Emirates Airlines flight. Like, every name badge has a different flag on it. Okay. But yeah, it took me a couple of days to really understand Angela. But you built a phenomenal pet team. I say this because not because I've been privileged enough to work with you guys. It's actually because it's true. You take that human, there are 3 human desires, right? Customers have 3 desires: health, wealth, and relationships. And I think that the health need that the Educogym delivers is, 50% in the science and the system, but the other 50% is in the Educo and in the people. And you don't walk in there not expecting to get outcomes, and that's very powerful, because I've trained in a lot of systems, and I've never, in a lot of gyms, and you don't get any of that. You know what I mean? And I think that's really powerful. So great lesson there for our younger audiences and even the established businesses. Jamie said it right here. So Jamie, if you could turn back time, I was about to sing you a song. If you could turn back time, but Cher said it a little bit differently, and talk to your 18-year-old self, right? What would you tell them? So if you could rewind the clock 40 years from now, right? So going back 40 years, because you're 58 now, right? No, I'm joking. The Educogym is great, but not that life transformationally great. No, but if you could turn back the clock to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give them today?
Yeah, I don't know if people will be able to relate to this, but I think one of the most important things that you can do when you're in business is, I think you could leverage the results and the success that you're having a lot more. When you're younger and you have a result, I think you're so busy looking at what the next thing needs to be, or the next milestone that you need to hit, that you don't really fully leverage what it is that you've achieved. So, you get a great result with somebody, and then it's how much you leverage that result to really grow the business and move it forward. Often you can sort of, maybe it's part of my character, maybe being a bit too modest sometimes, that you don't really make a big enough deal of what the successes that you're doing, and they're genuine, real successes. Because I think that leveraging that, when you look back at it, you think, oh my God, we didn't really make full use of that result that we achieved. And I think it's so important. It's a very Irish thing not to celebrate your results. I think also I would really encourage people to celebrate their successes, because the more you celebrate your successes, the more they stand out in your mind. And the more that they stand out in your mind, the more you use that win, that success, to build on the next one. People often put a lot of emotional weight into failures as they perceive them. And when they go to do the next thing, that weighs down heavily on them and almost provides a barrier to achieving the next results, because they think they can often lose confidence very quickly. You can see it in professional sport, people really giving themselves a hard time over maybe a bad shot or a bad result. And then they start to lose confidence quite quickly, because they're not building up their mind. Educogym, funny enough, it's really about building up your body, but it's actually also about building up your mind. So you're getting a result, getting yourself into shape, which, let's face it, people struggle with it. People struggle getting into shape, knowing what to do. And but if you achieve a result, then you really got to celebrate it, because then you have achieved that. You put your mind on an outcome and you've achieved that outcome. So then what else could you put your mind to? You start to suddenly think, what else is possible? If I've done this, then I should do this. So it's kind of twofold. It's getting a result and really leveraging that result. So making the most out of it, and then also celebrating, really making sure you celebrate your successes.
Awesome. So great insight for those younger audience members, but also great advice for anyone of any age, right? Life with only achievement is a life unfulfilled. You need fulfillment. And that's something that I preach to all my clients. I preach to you. If you don't get the purest of joys from doing a task, but also from the outcome of that task, then you're just working towards an endless pit of achievement, and that's meaningless. So I think that's really good advice, Jamie. Jamie, the last question before we go into the fast five in five, I always get stuck on that one. What's the most important thing that you've learned in your life?
I think that people you have unlimited power and potential, and I think it's understanding how to harness that power and potential. So I think that when you set your mind to something, anything is achievable.
Right. And what was life like before you knew that?
I think life requires a lot more effort before you realize that. So when you understand the power of your mind, how to focus on a goal or an outcome, it can be a very heavy conscious effort to make things happen, where you feel you've got to do it all yourself. There's great power in having multiple people heading for an outcome as well, I think. And that also makes things a lot more effortless when you get the right person or the right people around you. It's like 1 + 1 = 2, but when you have two really high energy people, it's a multiplier effect. It's way more than the sum of the combined parts.
Excellent. All right. So fast 5 in 5, as the name suggests, you don't actually get much time to talk about it or think about it. So here we go. What makes you feel inspired?
Getting results with people.
Okay. What is the best compliment you have ever received?
By my character, that's a very hard question.
That's why I asked it.
The best compliments. People would say I have great charisma. I think that's
Philip that DJ'd at my wedding. Philip with an F. Philip with an F summed you up perfectly, right? He said, "Jamie's got charisma." And Philip, if you're listening, Philip has also got a top-rated podcast, and is a dear friend of ours. Philip with an F. We salute you. You played an amazing gig in that last hour and a half set at the wedding, and thank you. If you could be remembered for just one thing, what would it be?
Making a difference.
Excellent. And what's your best book recommendation?
Good to Great, Jim Collins.
Yeah, phenomenal book. Everyone that knows me knows that I talk about Jim Collins all the time, right? I remember the first time I met Jamie, he had Good to Great sitting on his window ledge. Yeah, and I quizzed him.
For some reason, I have 2 copies.
Right. That's because you decided that, hey, I got to get another one. And interesting, I started quoting things out of Good to Great, and he didn't pick up on them. And so I turned around. You remember this? And I said, when was the last time you read the book that's sitting on your ledge? He goes, oh, right. And he went back and he reread it. And it's one of the most magnificent books ever written. Jim Collins is a former Stanford grad professor at Stanford, and he's phenomenal. The research is excellent. So, Jamie, the last question, and this plays perfectly to your personality, so you're not going to really like this question. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
A billboard.
Yeah, you have those in Ireland. I've seen them.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I would want a billboard. That definitely wouldn't be my style.
So
I've even gone out of focus.
Yeah, I know. So if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why? It doesn't have to be about you.
If I could have a billboard, I think I'm just going to try and if I could have a billboard, I probably would have some type of result, maybe with Robbie Williams on it, with the Educogym time machine. I think that would do us pretty good.
Yeah, it'd do a lot better than whatever you just did to your camera.
I know, it's even worse.
You know, all of see now the true Jamie's coming out. He's white, he's pale, he's ghosty. There's no muscle on him, nothing. You know, the photoshopping, the video shopping is all done. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what's happened to you then, but that you just like lighting changed.
My camera has decided to.
That's right. Out of focus. It's know what it is. You were talking about yourself, which you don't do, and your camera's not used to it, and it's gone.
Yeah.
No, but look, Jamie, it's been an absolute privilege and honor having you on the show. Thank you for making the time this morning, and I do want to take the time to thank all of our listeners. I really value you, my team, and all of our podcast guests. Thank you. We've got hundreds and thousands of podcasts out in the world, and yet a following loves to listen to ours, and I really appreciate that. We are going to make all the show notes available at the end of the podcast. Jamie's URL, his LinkedIn URL is going to be there. Educogym's website will be there. I encourage you to have a look, and if you have any questions, please email or directly message Jamie on his LinkedIn profile. He's very active on there. And also a massive shout out to my team at the Business Growth Mindset Growth Outsourced Media Sociale and Argentum Lineo for all their support and resilience, because it takes a lot to put up with me. I don't know where that noise came from because everything's on Do Not Disturb. But if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do. And make sure you change those notification settings, because if you don't, you will miss future episodes. But Jamie, from Australia to Ireland, thank you. Say hi to Jen and the boys. We are really excited that you are going to come to Australia to do the openings, hopefully January. That's what we're aiming for. We're currently scouting sites and locations. If any of our listeners know of any locations where we should open up, please send me an email or send it directly to Tracy with a Y at kristianlivolsi.com.au. But more importantly, Jamie, thank you. Bless you. And until next time, live with purpose. Are you ready to start taking action on your business? Would you like to spend more time with your family? Then call 1300-643-229 and start building momentum right now. I know you're busy. In fact, you are so busy that you don't have time to work on your business or yourself. Often tossing and turning at night, worrying about the how-tos and the cash flow. How on earth can you possibly get off the hamster wheel so that you can take a helicopter view to see where you'll be in 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years from now? In this program, I will take you from sleepless nights to blissful sleep. You'll have more time with your family, and you will have the clarity and direction so you can grow and flourish. Call 1300-643-229 now and start building momentum.